Howdy, and welcome to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are live on location from Rudys 504 Harvey Road here in College Station as Aggies coming off their 24-17 win over Arkansas up at AT&T Stadium to move to 3-2. That was last Saturday. Coming up this Saturday, a date with the 13th ranked Kentucky Wildcats. We thank you so much for joining us all along the Aggie Radio Network, as well as on Facebook Live and Twitter Live. Here is the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher. Howdy, Jimbo.
Howdy.
You know, I wanted to start this show with as much fireworks as Saturday started, but Jay Sean Corbin's not here to return a kickoff 100 yards. What a way to start that game on Saturday.
It was. I mean, we wanted to start fast. Thought it was very important to get out the blocks, and we did that on there, on defense and off. All three phases. We started the opening kickoff, blocked extremely well. And I said last week, we're just a few inches from getting that thing, and we barely made it by a few inches. I mean, those kickoffs are so tight when you're able to crease them. And what happened, we had two good blocks, and two guys came off. We had two guys, Riley Garner made an extra effort and dove back and just got enough of the guy. And Larry Pryor did the same thing, and it got him right in that crease. And when he hit out, then he was able to go finish. And how close those things are, but it was a great job by the whole team. They blocked it very well, and he hit it. And great for a freshman to be able to do that. And you saw his athleticism and ability.
You've talked time and again how much you like to get the ball in his hands and from that over. And it's so funny because you look back there and you see Rashad Paul, who you're saying is also just a little bit away. And it's like, okay, so they're going to try to kick away from him, and it went right to Jay Sean.
Yep, and
careful what you wish
back
for.
There. Yeah, exactly. He's a talented guy, and we got to get him going in the offense and everything to get that going. Like I say, we got that way and him, and got to take a little load off Travion because I mean he had 29 carries, but he got going. I tell you what, now for a guy who's 200 pounds, he can carry it. But he did a good job. We got to get those guys for the longevity this season. Plus, they're really good players.
Yeah, I wanted to also mention to you, we had talked about this a little earlier today. You also hinted to us that defensive line is going to make something happen, and boy, did they with the 5 sacks and everybody, all the starters on that defensive line had a sack on Saturday.
That's rare. I mean, I don't know how many times ever in my career I've had every defensive lineman have a sack. That doesn't happen a lot. Even when you have big numbers, usually sometimes 2 or 3 guys get them all. And he did a great job. But also not just in the sacks, they played to run. I mean, they were physical in the run. We had 7 3-and-outs in the game. And 2 things, too, they did a great job in sudden change. When we had the 2 turnovers, they immediately went in and got 3-and-outs, stopped the momentum of the game, got the ball back to us, which was very critical.
You don't like to turn the ball over, I understand, because it doesn't allow you to score. But that 3-and-out becomes important. Dave Elmendorf, my partner, always talks about momentum. When you have it, you don't want to get rid of it. And when you don't have it, it's hard to turn it around.
It is. It takes a team effort and a total focus, and you really have to get down and grind and grit because that team is playing on emotion. They play high, a little more juice, and to be able to stop that was really good. And that's one of the things I was disappointed in because we had it so well. We got and scored, then got a 3-and-out, and then took a beautiful drive on offense right down the field and scored, then hit the first play. The next first play, if we don't miss one block, we score on the first play. I wish we would have because the second play was an interception. It would have helped. But you gave it right back. You know what I mean? And that's the thing what I'm trying to teach our guys and to make sure they're aware of, that when you have somebody and you have momentum and you have them down, I call it taking their hope away. I mean, it's just like, that constant barrage that you're just pounding people. Say, man, and then they get pressed to say, okay, we're down 3 scores now. We got to make a play. And then they make a mistake and you go up 4. That's the way really good. And we're learning. We're in the process of learning. And we have, even in practice, I see it in practice. I mean, the way we practice today, I stopped today and said, listen, that's why we were playing really good. Then we hit one of those laws. Is exactly why we do it in the game. You can't do it on the practice field. I mean, they don't do it on purpose. Some guys, they're not cognizant. They just say, okay, I'm trying hard, but trying hard is real good. Is okay. That's not what we want. We got to try real hard and execute. And that's part of keeping that momentum. It's tough.
That is Jimbo Fisher. He's the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. I'm Andrew Monaco. This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. We would like you to thank our servicemen and women by purchasing seats for them to attend the Texas A&M football game versus UAB. That's on November 17th at Kyle Field. Donate $20 military appreciation tickets today for active duty, reserves, and retired military personnel. To request free tickets to that game on November 17th, visit 12thman.com/military and donate $20 Aggie football military appreciation tickets today. Much more Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. We return to Rudys. This is Aggie football from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show rolls on, live on location from Rudys 504 Harvey Road in College Station. And the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is presented by Capital Farm Credit. A reminder that AT&T is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing. That's our thing. You know how we always check in because this Facebook Live thing has taken off. First one is Pittsburgh. As everyone knows, Jimbo, growing up in West Virginia, Pittsburgh fan, Pirates. You were talking baseball during this break. Did the Yankee game start? And
yeah.
You're watching the game yesterday?
No, I got home about 11:15, something like that last night. So I caught the 11th, or I think it might have been the 11th inning. About the time I think it went 13. That was, yep. I love base. I think of October. I always think of October. I remember as a kid coming home. And I always had those games on in the afternoon because there wasn't no night games. You come home in the afternoon and catch. Back then it was the Pirates and the Reds, Phillies, the Dodgers, Yankees. Those games, and the Oakland A's with Reggie and Gene Tennis and Sal Bando and all those guys. As a kid, I just loved it. And I grew up playing base. I loved it.
October special.
It's football and great thing. Leaves change up there. It's beautiful in the mountain.
Yeah.
It gets cool. Football's in deer. Deer season kicks in, and baseball's going on. It's a pretty good time.
Did you play everything as a kid?
Yes.
Did you? Did it matter? It was just whatever the season was?
It wasn't nothing else to do in West Virginia. It was that or Dad had me working on the – no.
I was going to say, you got to play after you got the chores done, right?
No, that was no doubt about that. But no, I played everything. I played football, basketball, and baseball. They didn't have all these other sports, though. There was a lot of those other sports wasn't around when I was in school.
That's a good point.
I'm kind of dating myself.
That's a good point. We also got a check-in from – and I love this because we're playing – the Wildcats on Saturday. Bardstown, Kentucky has checked in on Facebook Live. Thank you. Appreciate that. And also a Beat the Hell Out of Kentucky was in there. And this is the first time this has ever happened. Bubba, I know you're listening because you called our Learfield. Now, our Learfield studios are in Jefferson City. Bubba called our producer, Tony, to tell him that we're doing a great job. So we are all over the place. Jimbo, after that win on Saturday, you talked with the team about winning the right way.
Yeah.
Winning is good.
Yes, you got to get – it is. You got to find ways to get results, and we did a lot of good things in that game. The special teams, the kickers did a great job. The punter, kickoff, we missed a couple field goals, which is uncharacteristic. We played great defense at times. Some outstanding defense. Moved the football offense. We had two big fourth-quarter drives when we had to move the football. We were able to move the football and get a drive, but still left so much out there. And you're not lucky, and you sealed the game on defense. You went out and got a turnover in a 2-minute and got to stop and did all those things. But there's a way that you can enhance that thing, and it shouldn't have been that close. And as far as if you do the things you're supposed – now, the other opponent has a lot to do with that. But there's a mentality and a culture of playing everything. And you can get to results and win the wrong way, and you're really in trouble. And everybody's all happy. That's the scary thing. Or you can even have bad results sometimes and getting and doing the right things. And you know as a coach, listen, all right, we're not getting it, but we're heading in the right direction. I want to get to the results for the right reasons and the right ways of dotting I's, crossing T's, and how you play the game. And there's a lot in there, but there's a lot that we've got to get cleaned up and do a better job on.
You talked about the defense making that stand. That interception by Donovan Wilson, that was –
oh, that was a great play.
That was athletic.
It was that went up and over a guy and then got hit, and that was a tough catch. And how many times those guys, you drop those balls on defense, and they always, I don't care, as soon as you drop one of those interceptions in those games like that, they come back and haunt you, and the team will go score. And, people say, we dropped it. Well, at least he broke it up. Well, no. When you get a chance to get possession of that football, that's a major mistake when you drop it. And him to go up and make that play was big. And I'm going to say this. Dono's had some tough breaks on those hits. But there's nobody, as much as anybody on our football team, reinforcing the core values of what we're trying to establish in our program and the way you practice and the way you do things, he has been a trooper and a true captain and a guy who's leading us in a great way. And I'm glad he got rewarded in a big-time deal. You
talk about that, and we have talked about that leadership, and he just embodies a leader, doesn't he?
Oh, and the way, not just out there, the way he practices. After practice today, I wasn't as happy today. There was some good and bad, and I didn't come out there real happy. And, he was the one who had them gathered up and was getting on them as a defensive guy, as a team. And football, listen, some guys play and participate. Some guys love, and it's in their blood. It's in his blood. It's important for him to be good and us to be good and the team to be good, and he wants everything around it. And it's just he truly loves what he's doing. He really does.
You're talking about the today being a Wednesday and a practice day. Your success on Saturday starts on last Sunday, right?
No doubt.
How well you're going to play on these days are more important than just out there on Saturday.
You revert to your training. You revert to your training and what you do in practice. And everybody said, well, you practice hard. Well, are you practicing? But you can practice hard, but you're practicing good habits, or you're practicing bad habits. You're either going to do it good or bad. Practicing hard, that's non-negotiable.
Right.
That takes no ability. That's a choice. So we say, well, that guy's giving effort. Well, that's a choice. That's a choice he should make. Now, we have to get the technique, the assignment, the alignment, the fundamentals of how do you do it and doing it well so it becomes a habit. And that's what we're still in the process of doing and understanding how to do it when it's really on the line. And people say, well, how do you play under pressure? You practice under pressure. And you practice habits because when pressure comes, your habits come straight to the surface. If you practice well, that's like, I love all the athletes today. But guys, I'm going to tell you something. Michael Jordan was different than everybody. Back when he played, and while they said he was the greatest finisher, and you hear the legendary stories, said, y'all saw him in practice on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, or whatever day it was. Every practice to him was for a championship. That's why he said at the end of the game, the greatest statement he ever made, and I'm trying to get our kids to understand this. Michael, what do you do in the last 5 minutes of a game that makes you so special? Remember, he would win games and just go off and steal it, dunk it. He could even be having a bad game and do it. He said, I don't change. Everybody else changes. They said, what do you mean? He said, every day to me in practice is for the championship. I play that way that every practice is then be. So when it comes in the game, I've already put the work in. I'm not nervous. Everybody else is worried about what's happening because, and when that pressure comes, those habits revert right out. He was who he was every day. And you got to learn to practice that way, to play that way. I'm a firm believer of that.
You always wonder why some people are the greatest, right? That's the separator.
Exactly. I mean, go. It's not an accident that the guys we revere and the teams we revere, the championship teams I've been a part of, practices were the wars. That was the games became easy. I mean, and you go listen to Larry Bird talk about being in the gym 2.5 hours before everybody ever went in there. Magic Johnson in the off season. I mean, Michael Jordan, what he was doing, the workout guys of Jerry Rice. Remember, I'll tell you a quick story. One time, I'll never forget it. Heard Steve Young talking one day, and he said they had just won that Super Bowl when they beat San Diego, and he threw the six touchdowns, and Jerry lit it up and played great. And he said he'd come back to the facility the next day, and he was getting to clean out his locker because they had a break, and off season. There was a guy out there on the practice field running. He didn't pay much attention, so he went in and got his stuff and walked. He said, man, who the heck's on our fields running? He walked out there. It was Jerry Rice, suited up in pads, and showed running routes on air by himself with nobody there.
Wow.
2 days after they just won the Super Bowl, and they were supposed to be on break. And he would go in the off season and work out, and they go run those hills. Remember that? And the training and he never, never thought of it. He came in. I tell you this. I know I get on this, but he came one time when I was at Florida State coaching. I was the offense coordinator, and we had the Friday Night Lights, this big recruiting, had our top guys, and you could that time bring in. Like, we brought in ex-great linebackers, safeties, running backs, tight ends, whatever they were, to coach the positions to kind of, this is the history of Florida State. You guys are coaching. You could do that at that time. So we had to have a guest speaker. And one of our ex-coaches played with Jerry at San Francisco. So he was going to come, and he spent the day talking and everything. And so we go out to do the workout. And that time you could run them on the field, and you worked out for like a 3-hour deal. And those great players were going to coach them. Mm-hmm. We were going to evaluate them as a recruiting tool. Well, here they come through the tunnel, and here comes Jerry. He's been retired for 2 years. He's 42 years, the leading receiver, yardage, catches in the history of the NFL. He runs through the tunnel, comes out through the goalpost. He's got shorts. He is spatted now. Jerry pretty now. I mean, he got every piece of tape, everything. And he always said that, if I look good, I play good. I walked over and I said, Jerry, I don't need you to do that, buddy. I just wanted you to speak. He said, Coach, let me tell you something. I can speak to these guys. In 5 minutes, they'll forget anything I ever say. If I work out for them for about 3 hours, they'll never forget that. He went through the camp, took every rep of every camp for 3 hours, and every ball he caught, he sprinted 50 yards to the other end zone and jogged back and handed it to him and never missed a rep, and took every rep against every player that was there, against everything live, and was sliding on his butt, catching balls, jumping up, running. And our player, and it was he was 2 years retired at 42 years old and had every NFL record. You know why? He didn't know any other way.
Right.
He told me this too, in 22 years of playing. He never took a family vacation in the offseason.
Wow.
I said, why? He said he worked out every day. And I said, why? And he said, afraid I was going to get cut. He said, I had the fear I was going to get cut the next day and I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Now, you wonder why he's the greatest player of all time?
Yep.
Now, I know that's extreme. But when the guys can do that, why can't we go practice hard?
Right.
Why can't we go do what we're going to do? It is a culture and it's a mindset in today's world. We tell them, oh, they can't do that. Oh, Johnny can't do that. We got to make sure. That's great. Listen. You get what you put out, what you put in it. Mm-hmm. You get out of it what you put in it, and that's what we're trying to learn right now.
That is excellent. Aggie Football is brought to you by Bud Light, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics, reminding you to enjoy responsibly. We have much more of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. We'll come back to Rudys, 504 Harvey Road in College Station. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit, rolls on live on location from Rudys 504 Harvey Road. Thanks for staying with us as we continue. I'm Andrew Monaco. A reminder on Saturday that our broadcast starts at 5 o'clock along the Aggie Radio Network. Kickoff will be at 6 as the Aggies host Kentucky. That will be at Kyle Field. Kickoff around 6:05, possible 6:10 for that kick. We certainly hope you will join us along the Aggie Radio Network. We want you to visit 12thman.com/maroon contest and register for your chance to hang out on Kyle Field with the Yell Leaders at the next home game. Winners get photo ops, game tickets, pregame hospitality, and the chance to get a pregame tour of Kyle Field. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. That is courtesy of Texas Farm Bureau. Also want to remind you that kids, you can be the future of the 12th man. Join the Junior Aggie Club today. Members of the official Kids Club of Texas A&M Athletics are 12 years of age and younger. Join the Junior Aggie Club today to receive free admission to Aggie athletic events throughout the year, plus exclusive access and experiences. Group, sibling, and 12th Man Foundation discounts are available. Visit junioraggieclub.com and join today. When we come back to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit, we will talk about Saturday's opponent, the 13th ranked Kentucky Wildcats, who are 5-0 and looking to go 6-0 for the first time in 68 years, and the Aggies will want to put an end to their undefeated streak. When we return, Jimbo and I will talk about the Kentucky Wildcats. That's when we continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, live from Rudys. This is Aggie football from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit, continues from Rudys 504 Harvey Road in College Station. Football and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudys smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs and 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudys or on the web at rudys.com. Along with Jimbo Fisher, I'm Andrew Monaco. Kentucky comes in on Saturday, and if you're all surprised that Kentucky's 5-0, this guy next to me is not, because he coached with their coach. He was your D coordinator, Mark Stoops, and he's got a fine team, Jimbo.
He does. And Mark comes from, of course, the Stoops background. Mark comes from a football family. Not only his brother, but his dad was a tremendous high school football coach, and they grew up around it. And Mark worked with me my first 3 years as the head coach. He was my defensive coordinator and did an outstanding job. This guy, he lives football, breathes football, works his tail off. I mean, great guy, great mind, and it's no surprise that they're doing that. They've done a great job of building a team, and they got a lot of fourth and fifth-year players. I mean, a bunch of guys that you don't make mistakes, they're in the right place, and then they're really good players on top of that, and it's a heck of a mix. And it's funny, when you get older, sometimes you're not. I see a very selfless team when I watch them play. They play to each other. They do things right, do little things right, and just, all they do is win and do a good job.
They've done it. They're 5 for 5 so far with their victories, winning at Florida, Mississippi State, beating South Carolina most recently.
Good teams.
They have Benny Snell, who's a heck of the 1 and 2 rushers in the SEC are going to be in Kyle Field. Benny Snell and Travion Williams. But Snell, I thought you made an interesting observation on Monday during your availability about how just when you think you have him, you don't.
He finds space where there's no space. And their line does a great job, too, of they bang and just enter together. Well, it looks like it's Sam, and they'll get just a little push, and all of a sudden there becomes a little gap, and he finds a way to get in it, and he gets that leverage. And, you say, we got him stopped. That was 2 yards. Man, that was 5. And then 5 becomes 8, and all of a sudden it breaks out. Just a very natural football player and instinct, and then he's extremely competitive and tough. And those guys, man, they don't go away. And listen, they make you beat them. They're not going to lay down or you're not going to just say, okay, you hit me a couple times, I'm stopping. That guy keeps coming now, and he's relentless. And it's going to be a huge challenge.
He's physical, isn't he?
Yes, he
is. Physical
yes,
runner. And yet he's going to meet this Aggie defense that has been good against the run, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is. And how we fit it, and we got to, again, you hear me talk all the time, we've got to take the air out of place. Mm-hmm. And, those backers got to fit and how they got to fit. And not just getting the body there with the right shoulder. How you leverage the ball so if they block it, so I'm bouncing it to the unblocked guy or I'm going to be the guy, and how you take the block on. And the lineman, sometimes you can get too much penetration because the penetration creates a seam and a gap, and how they got to play together and how we fit the safeties. And then you think, okay, there it is, and all of a sudden there goes the quarterback around the edge. He's extremely dynamic. You talk about explosive. He's the explosive player that creates a lot of the big plays with his legs and things that go on. So he's it's a very dangerous combo.
Does it help you any that you've played quarterbacks who have been similar this season?
No doubt. You have to. It doesn't hurt you, that's for sure. But, you still can't simulate each player. What you say, well, that guy's like that guy. Well, he's still not that guy until you play against him and what you do. And, hopefully you've learned from the past.
We'll talk more about Kentucky when we come back to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, live on location from Rudys. And again, Capital Farm Credit, together we're better. Aggies and Wildcats this Saturday, 6 o'clock at Kyle Field. 5 o'clock is when we start on the Aggie Radio Network. Stay with us. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit, will continue. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit continues from Rudys. 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Joel Best on Facebook. He's going to be clever now. Joel, I like this one, by the way. Beat the Snell out of Kentucky.
He's a big part of it, but there's more of it, too. I mean, Allen and Watson on defense.
Josh Allen is
80 and
something.
25. I mean, I tell you on defense, they're only giving up 12 points a game and 280 yards a game.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that now. That's really, really good now.
That's something. But you love these challenges, right?
Oh, you do. I mean, well, if you don't like challenge, you don't like competition.
Get out.
You're in the wrong sport, and 2, you're in the wrong league. So you better figure it out fast.
And I apologize. This took me 34 minutes, but congratulations on that first SEC win.
Oh, thank you.
You win that in the SEC West. That was wonderful. And it was great to see that, Jimbo. It was great to see the entire team celebrating. It's interesting. I had a chance to talk with Kingsley Keke this week, and you just watch whatever happens on there. There's not I know there's individual battles that you have to win, but this team loves to celebrate amongst themselves. So Dono gets that interception, but that entire defense, and then the offense joins in when they come over to the side.
I mean,
it's wonderful to see.
They're great kids.
Yeah.
We have great kids. They've got great attitudes. They're working hard. We got to learn how to work more intelligent, more efficient, and play that way. But, man, they're buying into what we're doing. And it's just, you got to push them till you get there.
Yeah. Travion Williams, I was talking with Coach earlier today, and I said, I know he ran for 160 yards in that game, but the one play that really jumped out at me was his opportunity to block in the backfield, and he clipped someone coming after Kellen, makes that block, and if I'm not mistaken, Kellen was able to hit Cam Buckley with that pass. Yeah. And I know Travion has said time and again, I want to be a complete back, but we're seeing that from him, aren't we?
Without a doubt. He wants to be a great player. And listen, I know this sounds simple. The guys that want to be great players, it's amazing how they become great players. You can coach and have the best coach in the world. At the end of the day, if you really don't want to do it, you're not going to do it at the level you need to do it, and he does. Yeah. And he is totally committed to being something as special as he can be.
You have Travion. You talked about Kwame, and then you get a Jayshawn Corbin. We talked about the kickoff return for him, but you have said time and again we got to get the ball in 5's hands. Is 7 another player like that?
Oh, yeah, he's going to be a 7 will be. I mean, and even 22 is. Jason's got to get his touches. Unfortunately, we lost 2, but, 1 and 13 and 14, those guys all can get it in their hand. 9 did, Hez did a great job coming in the game. He had 4 catches coming off the bench for 2, right? 3 of them right there in 2 minutes before the half. It put us in a great position to get down before the half and kick a field goal, and we missed it. But he'd come in and made a nice catch in the second half, and Hez did a nice job.
Yeah, it's just seeing that. I know you hate losing Jamon, you really do, because it's he's such a leader. He's so flippin' dependable out there. It's the foot, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So
5th metatarsal, that little bone on the out, which happens. Same thing. Got Michael too.
Yeah.
That happens so often on skill guys or big skill guys. That just the pressure constantly, the pounding and the running, those little thin bones.
Yeah, but it seems like you have enough depth or the wherewithal of these receivers to make up for.
Well, they do.
Missing
they got to. There's got to be some roles that's got to change. Your assignments in certain things you got to put in some different spots. But listen, that's football. Yeah. Tell me a team that's healthy anywhere in America. It doesn't work that way. That's just the way football is, and that's why we love it.
Right.
The ups and downs, the injuries, and people say that the good luck of great seasons is also the lucky of injuries and things of that nature. And it's a toughness sport. It's a gladiator sport, and that's part of going into it. Why we love it.
Yeah, it's October. No one's healthy when the calendar changes,
Nope.
right? Nor will they as the calendar changes again.
Exactly right.
You got it. That is Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. We will continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, live from Rudys here on 504 Harvey Road, and Aggie football is presented. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show rolls on. Presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are at Rudys 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Reminder to tune into Fox Sports Southwest every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. to catch the pulse and stay up to date with Texas A&M football. Kentucky's in on Saturday. 5 o'clock pregame on the Aggie Radio Network. 6 o'clock is the kickoff for the Aggies and Kentucky. Question time. We hold out questions. And all I want to say is Ian Curtis is coming after my job because it's not only a question but a pretty good one as well. It's how do you keep the team motivated throughout the season?
Well, I mean, you have goals and you have things, and we talk quite often. We have our own self-talk. I think any team and any organization that has success has their key words, their self-talk, a language amongst themselves that makes them accountable to each other, dependable to each other. And you got to motivate and create things, but you also got to remind them why they're here. And you listen. And the bottom line, and I know this sounds crazy, you signed a paper to come play football here. This is what your job is. All you're doing, you want to be successful in life? Do your job. Do it well. You want a better job? You want to be successful? Don't go looking for the next job. Do the job you got real well. Guess what? Somebody will come hire you. You know what I'm saying? And learn to be accountable, learn to be dependable. We talk in those terms all the time. And I know that sounds well. And then, listen, you have to push guys. You got to, every day. There's certain guys that maybe not want to work that day. Certain guys don't. Some guys do. I mean, that's just part of it, like any other boss and any other organization does. And you just got to remind them, and you got to challenge them, and you got to hold them accountable.
Does your Unity Council help with that?
Oh, without doubt. That's their job. I got to tell them, at the end of the day, hopefully my job will diminish a little bit in my responsibilities as far as those types of things. That's where when you have the right type of leadership and you indoctrinate the right culture from within and you get enough of those classes together that they set the standard for those guys coming in. And then the young guys don't know other way when they get here. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of what you have to get to.
The other question is, what's the plan to improve pass protection?
Oh, I mean, actually last week we weren't bad in pass protection. We had a couple situations. And the thing on pass protection is be able to run the football, be able to pass when you want to pass, not when you got to pass, and then and keep people off balance and get the ball in and out of your hands. So, but sometimes what happened last week to us, we got in some bad third down situations. We got in some long situations. There is no other way to, unless you throw a screen, get it out, and have a chance to make it, that's going to do that. But on first and second down, we did a really good job. But it's like running the ball when you have to run it. Mm-hmm. That's tough, and throwing it when you got to throw it. That's you can find out you got to get better. But we work at it every day. We look at protections. All right, who's the guy on the other team that we got to worry about? Like we mentioned, Allen this weekend, 41. He can rush. Watson can rush. Those guys are dynamic rushers. If somebody's isolated on them, can we get them help? Can we get them a chip? Can we get another lineman to them? Can we bang him with a tight end? Can we do things before we go on a route? Those things are constantly talked about, and we work on that as much as we can. Yeah,
you're the one who has taught us that third down is the direct result of success on first and second down.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, you love third and short.
And you got to call plays that way too. And then some of the teams, if you're a very talented team and you have gifted teams that are really exceptional, sometimes you don't mind me as many third and long, so you're more chancy on first or second down. But other times you got to make sure you get to that third down, you're in 3rd and 5 or less, where you can still run it. You can quarterback and scramble. You can throw a screen. You can throw a short pass. If they play up, you got a chance to take a shot. Your whole playbook is open. Those third and longs. Yeah. Now the odds go in their favor.
You're limited in its advantage defense.
Exactly.
Right, for that. That is Jimbo Fisher, the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. Let's step aside. We'll come back to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We're at Rudys, 504 Harvey Road, and this is Aggie football from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit, continues. A reminder, AT&T is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing, that's our thing. We're not only going to see the Aggies on Saturday, but we're going to see them in throwback uniforms. They're going to wear what they wore in 1998. Here they won the Big 12 championship. Little throw. That's going to be kind of fun on Saturday wearing those uniforms.
Oh, it is. And listen, you got to embrace your history. That's where you came from. History is your greatest teacher, and that's what we learn from, and that's who we are, and that's all part of our culture. And to be able to honor the last championship team here in 1998 was awesome, and the people involved in that team, and it's a great honor for us to do that.
Yeah, and that team is going to be back, and it will be honored on the field, and I think that's going to be absolutely wonderful. We also learned this week that Pat Thomas, the two-time All-American quarterback and the A&M Hall of Famer, he's going into the SEC Football Legends class of 2018. Well-deserved. He joins my partner, Dave Elmendorf, Ray Mickens, Bubba Bean, Jacob Green, Dat Wynn, and John David Crow have all been inducted. That's so cool. I love the history of programs. I really
do too. I love it. And kids today, they got more things at their fingertips to Google and pull up than we ever had, and know less about a lot of that. I mean, I can't. They got too many other things to do. I say it in my meeting. I'll say, don't. And they'll look at me like, Coach. I say, you got to be kidding me. I said, I'm going to run you if you don't start figuring this out. I mean, I do. I think it's important for them to study the history of it.
Yeah.
What I don't understand, though, is when guys are great players, why won't you go study other great players? Figure out who's been really successful and study and learn from. But that was just a different generation.
Yeah, it's the one thing I asked Kingsley Kiki during the podcast was when you put that jersey on, and he went from 88 to 8, and he joked about that. And he said he went to 8 because he wanted a single-digit number, and he said he wanted to look pretty. So that gives you an idea about Kingsley. But I said when you put that jersey on,
you're a D lineman.
It's not possible, is it?
They are. They all want to be prized, so I was teasing. I said, you think it makes you skinnier because you got 1 8 instead of 2.
But he said he wants to represent not just that number, but that jersey. And I thought that was interesting that he would understand what that jersey and,
exactly.
And obviously the helmet you've talked about before.
Exactly right. I mean, it is. And Kingsley's a very intelligent guy and gets that and knows that. And it's great that he thinks that way. And I tell you what, he's playing that way. He had 2 great sacks last week.
Yeah. And I had to ask him about his line mate, Dalen Mack, and he got the biggest smile on his face. Jimbo, offensive lines have to know where number 34 is on the field at all times.
I mean, listen, people don't understand. I mean, the work they do and how they free up linebackers. When you can't single block and you can't run that A gap and that center can't single block that nose, it changes everything up front. Yeah. You become a man down because they got a double, they got a tag, the linebackers get off free, the defensive tackle gets singled up. I mean, everything starts there. I mean, that's how the blocked field goals happen. And the almost blocked field goals, him getting the surge inside, getting the push, and the other guys getting up. I mean, right now he's doing a great job playing great football.
And side by side with Justin Matabike really gives you something special there.
Matabike, and we put Kiki in there, and even Peavy. Peavy's doing a great job in there too. But Matabike last week, I told him they were determined to block that 3 technique in him. Well, they put 2 of them on him, and I don't know. He didn't move 1 inch. I mean, he stood there, and those backers are running free, and he's running. And he's a guy, too, now that's got a lot of juice. And what I mean by that is he's not just that power guy that does that. He can rush the passer. He can run. He even goes to defensive end on our rush downs. Mm-hmm. He goes outside. And that's another one in there, boy. He's got a great career ahead of him. He keeps going.
You get those tackles, and we talked about Kingsley, who can play in both. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Landis Durham.
Landis Durham doing a great job. Trey Brown's doing a great job in that group right there. I mean, all those guys are mixing in. I mean, Tyrod Johnson is doing a great job. I mean, he came light years to give us a lot of depth in that position. There's a lot of guys moving up and doing good.
It's not always the most glamorous spot, the D-line.
No.
Right? It's really not, but when it's effective, it affects absolutely everything.
It's the start of everything. Yeah. I don't care. The guys that put their hand in the dirt change the game. Listen, I call you quarterback, a skill guy. Now you got to have those guys that have skill. They're outside. They go change the game and put points on the board. But when those guys that put their hand in the dirt change the game, it makes those skill guys' job a heck of a lot easier, I promise you.
We have one more segment to go here on the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. We will come back to Rudys, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Stay with us. Aggie football presented from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit continues live from Rudys 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. So we talked about Jamon being out. Are you getting closer to having anybody come back for you? Are we getting to that? You talked about Arkansas.
They are.
They're
getting close, but Braden White's back to working and practicing some. Hopefully, I don't know if we'll have him this week. Maybe we'll have him back in the game next week. Some of those things. A couple of those other guys are grads. They're getting close, but sometimes you'll heal, and then sometimes you'll hit I call like a sticking point. Sometimes those injuries. Then they got to push through the final parts of it of playing at the high level. So we're evaluating them every day.
That can change the complexion of a team, can it, when
Lord.
players coming back?
I mean, it can definitely change your plans and what you do. And, people don't even realize this, your risk of how you even play guys. When you know what your backup situation is, people say, y'all do this more, y'all do that more. Well, sometimes the risk you put those guys in knowing your backup situation, you got to pick and choose how much you do that at. You know what I'm saying? Based on your whole team that, that people don't know. And it just affects how you coach totally. But that's part of the game.
Yeah. Can it also affect when that player got injured and when they come back along the lines of if they've gone through camp and maybe have a game under their belt, or in camp, maybe they didn't get a chance to complete, do they have some catching up to do when it comes to that?
There's no doubt. And I don't care what you do, you simulate. When you get back in the game, and just the game itself and bodies being around you and how fast it's going and the things that move, there's still an acclimation period that you just don't walk back in and just take off. But that's part of it.
You try to practice game speed, but there really is no
no.
There's nothing for it, is there?
No, there isn't. There isn't.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So with Kentucky coming in, and you've always talked about, okay, Sunday through Friday to be ready for Saturday. How's this week been so far? You talked a little bit about today.
We have some ups and downs in practice. We're learning how to practice and learn how to be more efficient. I tell you what, it's been really warm the last 2 days. Yesterday was really warm. Today was warm, which has an effect too, and how you do things. But we've had good practices. I mean, I'm not going to say they're perfect, and we got to get better at practice, but we're learning. We're progressing in the right way. And like I say, looking at yourself when – learning to expect to go win. Now, and I know that sounds crazy. And then how you prepare, and you don't deal with, I think we can win. I got to have no. Just go, practice, put the work in. So when as I always call it, when you pull the book off the library shelf, you know what's in it. You know what I'm saying? Go play and don't worry about it. Just go.
It's funny. I can always ask you about the opponent, but really it's about A&M.
It's about us. I mean, there's only so much I know how fast they run. I know what they do. All right. Other than that, what are you going to do? That's what it gets down to. Right. What are you willing to do, and what are you willing to do? What are you willing to put into work? What are you willing to do? How hard are you willing to play? How hard and how hard are you willing to play well? Mm-hmm. How long can you focus? That's why practice has got to be hard. I say you train your mind just like you do your arms and legs. Now you lift weights and you run so you can run faster and longer and all that. Well, you practice harder and you practice longer and you learn to focus in longer periods of time. You train your mind to focus at different times. And today, because of this thing and TV, think about this now. And you wonder why you have the ups and downs. Kids today aren't trained to lock into something for long periods of time. Everything on TV, it's a quick hit and out in 30 seconds. On this, it's a quick, let me get a Snapchat or something on here. Yeah. Let me get a news bite. Let me get the headline. Yeah. I always say this. Think about ESPN. You're listening to the guys going on. On the left side, there's 4 things. Here's next. Boom, 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 boom. And then the bottom, you're reading a ticker going across the bottom. I mean, everything, it's so, but so it distracts you now. You got to multitask as a player, but you got to learn to focus on little things. And that's why I say eye discipline. As much as anything on our football team, if I picked one thing, training your eyes to look at the right things. And focusing, like not stare in the backfield, stare where I'm supposed to stare. Or if I'm supposed to stare in the backfield, because you can't make a play if you can't see a play to process, because that's the only way it gets to your brain. You either hear it or you see it. That's the only way you can process and make decisions and play fast.
Jimbo beat the hell out of Kentucky Saturday.
That's the plan.
You got it. That is Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. I'm Andrew Monaco. Thanks for joining us for the Jimbo Fisher Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. We will talk to you Saturday at 5 here along the Aggie Radio Network. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Gig 'em and thanks.